Welcome to another episode of Healers Talk Healing, where we uncover the art and science of holistic healing. Today we have a special treat for you, a compilation episode that brings together the profound and diverse answers to one pivotal question I've asked all of our guests. What does healing mean to you? Each guest brings a unique perspective, weaving their personal experiences, insights into a rich tapestry of wisdom. Despite their varied backgrounds, one common thread emerges: the powerful connection between mind, body, soul, and spirit. This episode highlights the multifaceted nature of healing, offering you a holistic understanding that transcends the conventional. Join me as we revisit enlightening conversations reflecting on the journey of healing and the profound interconnectedness of our mental, physical, and spiritual well-being. Prepare to be moved, inspired, and perhaps even transformed by the stories and wisdom shared in this special compilation. Tune in and explore what healing truly means from some of the most insightful minds I've had the pleasure to host. What is your definition of healing?
So I define healing as the transformation of those habits, ways of being, um, learnings that no longer serve us to and transforming it into what will serve not only us individually, but serve us as a generation, like serving the generations beyond us.
Mm, mm. Yeah, leaving that legacy, planting a seed, taking it forward it's powerful, and sometimes it can feel like it's a thing, like, oh, it's a thing to have to create that
Hmm.
for our the people that come after us, those who are going to come after us. But what a great gift to be able to start the legacy.
Absolutely. We plant inside of that healing process, we uproot the things that no longer serve our legacy, and we plant the seeds of trees that we won't be able to experience the shade of.
Ooh, that is some poetry in motion. It's so true, though. Like, there is something to be said about we won't be experiencing it. We as humans are so in this space in the world looking to that instant gratification. But, when you're sowing, it takes something to be able to say, oh, not necessarily, but I may not see the result. I may not see the harvest the way in which I would like to because of, the time it takes, especially when it comes in the space that we are in that healing space, in the transformational space. We would like it to happen very quickly. When I work with my clients, I'm a Reiki master life coach. And when I work with clients are always wanting, okay, well, when am I going to get better? When's it going to feel better? When's this shift going to happen? They're like, one session is done, right? No.
Listen, the healing is never over. The
No,
healing is never over. It's only deeper layers. And it's
girl.
layers that you're like, where did this come from? What? This is what I said yes to? And this is how it gets
Oh,
fulfilled.
what is your definition of healing?
I think healing is going through the dark to get to the light and finding like more pockets of peace in your chaos and just in the chaos of the world. That's what I feel like healing is to me.
Yeah, so I know that you know your well, part of your healing journey certainly started with you dealing with some certain circumstances that you had that you were trying to discover, you know, some solutions for. So
Yeah.
I'd really love to hear about what was that impetus for you to start on, creating the business now that you've created, a big successful business helping, women deal with, gut issues. But what was the catalyst for you?
That led me to, like, doing it as a business or to heal myself, like, healing
Like,
myself.
yeah, just like what was your we all have something, right? Something that helps us, something that gets us on this healing journey.
For
For
sure.
me it was experiencing abuse for many years, and then something's always like that thing that's like, okay, this is what I need to do in order to
Yeah.
start feeling better.
Yeah, for sure. So for me, it was adult acne that was like very persistent, but then more concerning was brain fog, lightheaded spells, and fainting at quite a young age.
Mhm.
So it was concerning because it held me back from achieving a lot of my goals. It was stopping me from doing well in school. And it was also just dangerous, like I could get behind a wheel and feel fine. And then all of a sudden get these lightheaded and dizzy spells.
Mm.
So that really made me realize, like, like I'm 20 years old, I shouldn't be experiencing these symptoms. And what really propelled me into healing myself and also like helping other people is not getting any help with traditional doctors in this specific situation because it's not well known, it's not well studied about the gut microbiome and how the gut brain connection is. So I realized that I wasn't really getting answers when I went to the doctors. They'd say, just rest more, just sleep more, just exercise more. And it was very surface. And I was like, these are really concerning symptoms, and I'm not really getting an answer. So it forced me to learn how to heal myself, which in turn helps me heal other people.
What is your definition of healing?
Yeah, well, thank you so much for having me. Um, and I just love this question. I think I could go on for days on how to answer this, but essentially, to me, it means coming home to oneself.
Mm.
And there's so many ways one can do that. It's the unlearning of who you were taught you are by society, by family, by culture, religion, and it's learning who you are, or I should say, remembering who you are,
Mm.
who you were as a child, who you were before the world got in the way, before labels were thrust upon you, before you were taught you were not worthy enough. Um, and so healing to me is really about that inner child work. As adults, I believe that the questions that we often have, why am I depressed? What is my calling? How am I meant to serve? Why am I on this planet? Why are my relationships failing? We can look to our childhood and we can find those answers. And it is that inner child healing that was really the start of my healing journey. And it is the continuous going back to and unpacking my belief systems today, my thought patterns, my behaviors, the cycles that I find myself in. It's looking back in my childhood where I can usually understand the root of where those belief systems started. And it is in that self-awareness, in the start of the self-discovery, which is that self-awareness, where I believe we can then change those patterns, then we can unlearn, then we can relearn, and then come home to ourselves, which is essentially stepping into our authenticity and our truths, which is, funny enough, what I now refer to myself as, which is an authenticity coach.
Mm.
So yeah,
I
that
love
healing,
that.
that inner child work is deeply, deeply important.
Oh, so I agree 100%. I think there's so many levels and so many things to look at there. But what I really got from what you're saying is the unlearning. We talk about learning, but the unlearning, the interrupting, the unraveling of that, where we begin our journey, where we step into, oh, something has happened and I need to go look at that. And it's not learning something new, because I think innately, like inside of us, we know who we are. I mean, we
Mhm.
came that way. So it's not to learn who we are. And we talk about, I want to find myself, but it's about unlearning all of the stuff that we take on from And I don't want to blame the adults because it sounds like blame, but it's not
Blame
blame. It's like it's your fault, but they also have to unpack all of their stuff. And I do believe music does heal. So,
Yeah.
with all of that said, I'm going to hand it off to you now.
Okay, good. So, oh wow. So I kind of want to back up a little bit. And this is stuff that we talked about before, but I think, you know, we're all divine creations, and to create is divine. And so I think, you know, that's the first thing for me to understand. And so when I hear a piece of music that touches me in a way, I say it's the divinity inside of, you know, that creation channeled through another artist that then, you know, goes straight to, you know, my heart chakra, and then, you know, maybe to the second chakra where, you know, creation occurs.
Mhm.
And so that's the first piece of it. It's got to hit me another way, so then I can then, in fact, you know, be divinely inspired to then, you know, bring forward something that's going to touch and inspire somebody else.
Mm.
And so when I'm putting a show together, I'm very aware of the journey from the very beginning, right? And so when I put the show together, like the first two songs specifically have to be, there's a better word than invitation, but right now I can't think of what it is, but the invitation to have somebody join me on my journey and into my space so that we can have a communal experience. And so the specific thing that you're talking about is there's a song on my new album called Supper Time that has a particular history. And when people listen to it, I've actually infused the history of the song I've infused the history of the song into the song in a spoken piece that I do toward the end of the song. I don't know that I want to give it all away. I think I'd rather have people have the experience of the song. But it definitely, you know, the song, all of the songs are going to take you on a journey. That's going to take you to a particular place. I performed the song live a few times and actually had the experience of watching people cry in front of me while I'm singing the song. And so in this particular situation in New York, there was a woman sitting in front of me, and I finished the song and she looked up at me and she said, "Well, I'm sad. You have to make me happy now." And so, of course, inside of the show, I was very aware of, and I think there's a responsibility as an artist, if you're taking somebody on a journey, that you kind of have to take them through a number of different emotions and thought patterns and whatever else. Otherwise, you're just kind of keeping them in one place. And I don't know that there's a healing that can take place, but I think if you allow people to have the range of their emotions inside of a musical experience, it's beneficial. It's much more beneficial to them and more healing. So I had set up the show so that, like, right after that, there's a song that's very humorous, somewhat ridiculous, does make a social commentary about women and youth, and I'll leave it there.
Okay.
And so it was like I took people from that moment of really considering a very dark moment, right? And then taking them into this ridiculous situation, and people are busting up laughing, right? And I don't know somebody else's journey. What I do know, and I I think that Wendell Pierce, I'm a huge fan of Wendell Pierce's. So if you don't know who he is, I'm sorry for you, but he's a wonderful actor and he's extremely talented and very versatile.
Mm.
And I've had the pleasure of seeing him on television a number of times in movies, and I actually was in New York when he was doing Death of a Salesman.
Mm.
And I thought it was extraordinary and very moving. But he wrote a book called The Wind in the Reeds. And in the book, he talks about acting specifically, but I think this is true for any kind of an art, is the more you allow yourself to be vulnerable, the
Mhm.
more universal the experience is for your audience.
Mm.
And so for me, when I'm performing, I need to open myself in a way to my own humanity, to my own vulnerability, to the creative piece of me that is divine, to then give it to somebody else. So, whatever their journey is, hopefully something that I'm providing resonates in their space to shift something for them.
Mm. So I'm going to start with you, Anna. What is your definition of healing?
Of healing, I believe the best definition that I can come up with for healing is to give the spirit the chance to express itself in a physical, emotional, and mental body,
Mm.
and to be aware of the power that it has, the creation of the reality, the ability to create their reality and to change patterns that sometimes give us blockages. So when we let the spirit express, we are healed.
Mm. That's powerful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I have proven in myself, so I know it works like that.
Yeah. Mostly I would definitely agree that it's definitely a three-pronged approach.
Mhm.
And we're going to get into it a little more as we continue our conversation. So Michael, off to you. What is your definition of healing?
Well, that's a hard definition to follow because that was really a good one. I totally agree with. For me, it's about body, mind, and soul.
Mm.
We are spirits, and part of the healing is self-identification. I think there's an identity crisis where people think they're the body, and we're not. We're actually spiritual beings, and we get to be on this planet for a while. And part of the healing is really understanding and learning who you really are and why you're here, but also living in harmony on all these levels: mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual, and being authentic as well,
Mhm.
being true to yourself. And everything else will take care of itself because we have these incredible bodies that can heal, literally heal anything.
Mm.
And it's just we have to realize what we can do as spiritual beings on this planet in this physical form.
What is your definition of healing?
Could be a lot of things. Thank you, Nina. It's great to be with you. I'm excited. I'm super excited just to have heard that your podcast is called From Victim to Victory, because to me, that's a good example of healing right there.
Mm.
And I guess my idea of healing would be to reconnect to pure consciousness through going deeply into yourself. So reconnecting to your own truth in
Mm.
every way, whether it's a physical way or an emotional way, psychological, spiritual, and through that coming into connection to divine mystery, pure consciousness, God, creator, however it is for you.
Yeah.
To me, that's full healing. It's a restoring of what I'd call the true order of things.
Which is, what is your definition of healing?
Okay, my definition of healing. I like to start with a breath, part of my practice. And I think that that is part of my answer, is that when we're, I want to do air quotes around the word healing, because it can be a heavy word. And I went on a big healing journey myself and came to the other side feeling like I created a lot more stress in that process than there needed to be. And so I would love to define healing as being connected with self, being connected to how my body feels in each moment as much as possible, so that I'm in the present and interacting with myself first before I'm interacting with the world outside of me. So in my definition of healing would be connected to self, connected to that own infinite wisdom that resides within me, regardless of how I might be feeling in that definition of like good or bad in that moment, the way we like to say, oh, now I feel good, so everything's okay. Now I feel bad, so something must be wrong. But what healing is more just that state of moment to moment connection with my own internal wisdom and what do I need most in this moment.
Powerful. That's really powerful. What does healing mean to you?
Thank you for that question, Nina. It has given me a lot to think about. Healing can be, as we know, so many things. You know, there's the standard meaning of I cut my toe and now it's better. From there on up to having some kind of injury that can't be fully fixed. And then the healing comes from coming to a place of acceptance with it. And I will say that even sometimes healing means completing your life. Sometimes having a peaceful, satisfying end of life experience is healing, not only for the individual, but for their family as well. So then there's emotional healing from reconciling with a friend who may have become estranged somehow, or a family member. So in the realm of emotional, physical, spiritual healing, it's very, very broad. And what I would do is listen to the wants, the desires of the person I'm working with and help them go as far as they want to on that path.
What a beautiful answer. What is your definition of healing?
Yeah, I mean, that's not surprising because it's probably not a question that most people asked or have thought about, even if they are like a healer. Um, but what you asked me that question, and what popped in my head was just kind of anything that would help you to more fully express yourself. So generally, when we're unhealed in any way, physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, there's something that is blocking us from being the full expression of ourselves. So physically, if I have a hurt ankle, it's going to make it hard for me to walk. Mentally or emotionally, if I have any sort of baggage, it's going to keep me from being who I really want to be. I may unintentionally hurt others or hurt myself in the process. And yeah, so I think that's really what it is to me. It's just like anything that'll help you more fully be who you are or be who you want to be.
That is such a beautiful answer. It's the first one I've heard like that, to be honest with you. And it's
Thank you.
You're right. It's like there's something to be said about not being able to be fully self-expressed. And it's funny that you say that, because it's something that, that's one of my pillars is I want everyone to have that space of full self-expression. What does healing mean to you?
Wow. Thank you for that lovely introduction, and I appreciate those kind words. Will just emanate from the screen. Healing, I think, in a way, gets a bad rap because actually the word healing is what we do. We go to the doctor when something's wrong with us to get better. It implies something's wrong and that there's something to fix. However, the kind of healing we're talking about is to be more of ourself, to get out of our own way and to get to the core and the essence of who we really are so we can do what we came here to do. And I don't know if there's another word for that. It's kind of, well, people use the phrase peeling an onion, but it's never done. The work is never done. It's a lifelong process. And so it's a process of unfolding and getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And I think getting to know ourselves is a big part of it. But that's my take.
I love it. I love that because, it's so true. Because if we're looking at, the essence, our essence, when we come through the vessel, we have an essence, and then stuff kind of builds on top of things over time. And healing, you're right. Like I never looked at it that way. But now that I'm listening to you, and I've heard it in several different versions, something similar, like, we're whole and complete. So there's never anything really to fix aside from looking at what works and what doesn't work in our lives. What is your definition of healing?
Oh, wow. Great question. So, how I define and how I look at and how I experience healing for myself and others is giving the body what it needs. And that could even be rest. So, it doesn't actually have to physically be a vitamin or a mineral or a food substance. Sometimes it's rest. Giving the body what it needs when it needs it so that it can do the job it was born and meant to do.
I think you're speaking to me and you don't even know it. Join the Miracles Directory, where healers connect and wellness begins. Join a community of trusted holistic professionals, or find your path to healing and peace. Visit themiraclesdirectory.com. Start your journey today. What is healing to you? Like, what does it mean to you?
To me, healing to me pretty much deals with balancing the whole person, making the whole person whole. And that's on a spiritual, physical, and mental level. So not only are you healing the body, but you're also healing the mind. And then after you heal the body and the mind, then you go to a spiritual level, which can deal with the person's connection to nature, to the universe, to God, and also if the person believes in past lives or living multiple lives, it's also healing that from the past to now. So to me, healing deals with just trying to wipe away all negative energy if possible, from all levels, from the physical to the supernatural.
What does healing mean to you?
Well, thank you so much, Nina. And what healing means to me is it's a journey. Okay. Specifically because, I had a conversation with somebody maybe a couple of days ago, and we were talking about being healed, right? And we're talking about physical healing. And for me, it's not just physical healing, it's mental healing, it's spiritual healing. We are full beings, so we have to heal in all these different areas. And that's a constant journey in life. A lot of the things ill are not necessarily the foods we put in our body, but the thoughts we think, the ways we feel about ourselves, the way we feel about our environments. So healing is about helping to correct and to get people on a path that they, number one, feel good about, so they can begin to heal all the aspects of themselves, not just their physical selves.
What a beautiful answer. And I agree with you. So I agree. It's definitely, a multi-pronged approach to healing. And I love that you said, can start with your thoughts. What's happening in here is a reflection of what's happening out here in the world. For the listeners who've been listening, they know what it is. What is your definition of healing?
Well, when you ask me that question, I could have two sides to it. It's the healing of the individual or the person that is quote unquote the healer. So I guess I'll answer both of them, huh?
Yeah, why not?
For me as a healer, I'm really just a conduit. I'm a conduit for the energy to move through me, which moves through every single one of us and everything on the planet. Doesn't matter what it is. We all have this life force energy that moves through us. And as a healer, I'm just the conduit for that to move through. And because I've done my own healing work, it allows me to have it move through clearer, more abundantly, I think, because I'm more awake to it and open to it moving through me. So yeah, when it comes to the person being healed, that's really up to them too, because I could do all the things that I know to do and more, whatever I'm guided, because I'm always constantly learning something new every single time. And I'm so grateful for that. But I could work on somebody until I'm blue in the face and worn out and laying down on the ground because I'm so worn out. But it's up to that individual to receive a healing. And it doesn't mean that the healing's coming from me. It's from source and from their own being to open up and say, yeah, I want this for myself. That's where the healing happens. There's a saying, healer, heal thyself, right? So I've had to do my work so I can understand that when I'm working with other individuals, whether I'm just talking to them or I'm doing hands-on healing or I'm just moving energy or whatever is happening, a lot of that awareness goes through me because I've already experienced it, so I can help them more. Does that make sense? So that was around, that's how my view on healing.
What is your definition of healing?
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm so happy to be here with you, Nina. And aren't we lucky that all of our besties are healers, right?
Yes, we are very blessed.
Yes, absolutely. So my definition of, it's such a good question. It's not something that I've, really thought of with intention. What is my definition of healing? But my experience of healing is that it's a journey. And I think healing is different for everybody. That's why I think I don't have a specific definition of it, because it does show up differently for everyone or like different people. But I definitely think that the commonality is that it's a journey for everyone. And it's like peeling an onion. I know it's an analogy that's used a lot, but it's exactly what it is. You deal with what's on one layer and you're like, okay, I can process that and let it go. Let go of the emotions and the heightened emotions, I want to say. I was going to say drama, the drama of it.
It is drama,
but
it's dramatic.
But I feel like that's a bit of a judgment, but that's like because I mean, when I look at myself and the things that I've healed in my healing journey, when I look back on it, I'm like, oh yeah, that was drama. the way I felt about it and the intensity and like my unwillingness to let it go and, all of those things that were like, I was so invested in those experiences or whatever, those things that I wanted to heal. It took a little bit to let it go. And so I think really it's a process of, I think first acknowledging what's there. First it has to start with a recognition.
Yeah.
That, oh, here's a pattern I'm repeating. It's like this thing. Oh, here this thing is again. Why am I feeling this way again? Why am I dealing with this thing again? And then it's like, giving words to it, acknowledging it, defining what that thing is. And then going through all of the emotions and feeling the emotions and letting them pass through my body, and kind of make peace with it. Right? So that when those feelings come up again, or if they come up again, I don't have to be hooked by them. Right? I don't have to engage in them and experience them in the moment as if I'm reliving the original thing that caused me to feel that way. So then I find like the things that I feel like I've healed are those things where they don't disappear completely. But which I wish, there's part of my brain that's like, come on.
Yeah.
Why isn't it gone and just deleted, like, when you delete something on your computer, right? But I've made peace with the fact that things will trigger those emotions or that feeling again, but I don't have to revert back to acting whichever age I was when those things were happening in the first place. I can actually just be with, okay, oh, right, this is what's triggering this. This is why I'm feeling this way. And kind of use the tools that I have to be with the emotion of it and then let it go.
What is your definition of healing?
Well, healing is an internal thing. And there's different levels of it. But really, healing for me is your connection with not only your body and your mind, but your higher soul. When you put yourself in alignment with all those parts, that's where real healing happens. And that's what healing is.
That's a very powerful message. And I think what's important for us to realize that it's a holistic approach. There's not, you just heal a part of you. There's this interconnectedness that I think in the world of healing, and people those are looking for healing are beginning to understand that it's not you're just going to go and see a therapist, or you're just going to do one approach. There's so many approaches. What is your definition of healing?
Okay, definition of healing. Okay, my personal definition of healing is actually an integrative approach to incorporate many different types of healing process, like integrative health, natural types of medicine. I like to go with natural approaches to healing, like lifestyle changes, exercise, good sleep, nutrition, diets, and that kind of thing that are healthy, and many other things that kind of integrate to do the overall effects of promoting the best possible healing that can be done.
I like that, because I think it's important for us to remember that it is like an integrative, holistic approach that we need to take. It's not just, one or the other that we're trying to balance. I was going to say repair, but like to balance it all out, it takes something. What is your definition of healing?
I think for me, I can only come from my own experience. And what it means to me is revealing and being willing to see the conditioning and programming that we absorbed when we were children, and that it's not my fault. Now, that doesn't mean that I don't take responsibility, because once I've got the programming and the conditioning, it's mine to work with, right? But that is where the healing process must begin. First, to recognize that all that we have absorbed was not our fault. I am, and we all were, blank slates, if you will, or predisposed to the conditioning and programming, and that wasn't our fault. So we really need to begin first that healing process of letting ourselves off the hook of being at fault for or to blame for the things that we absorbed, the belief systems that we absorbed, based on what we were told, based on what happened to us. I call it the traumas of being human.
Oh.
And we all have to go through some kind of process to heal, if you will, from those traumas of just being human and just being born into this human existence, and learn how to navigate it as best we can. And we all need some kind of support, guidance, and help in doing that from those that have been able to move through it, see it, and come through it to the other side. And that's where we come in as I never would call myself a healer. It's one thing for another to call me a healer, but I would never be so self-important. It feels self-important to put that label on myself. I just am a facilitator for another's transformation.
Lynn, what's your definition of healing?
All right. Well, before I get into my definition of healing, I just want to say thank you very much. It's beautiful working with you, working with your team, working with the other members of the Miracles Directory staff. Each of you, just wonderful expertise in what you do, something that I could not even fathom for myself. So I want to say thank you to you for just being such an integral part of this process. And I do feel that it's important to collaborate and be in partnership with whatever you're doing. So although I may be the founder of Miracles Directory, it's just as important to me that all of you have input to help give it the legs and the body and the growth that is needed and that carries the vision forward. So I want to thank you very much for that as well. So in answer to your question, what is healing, at least from my perspective? Healing is really a unity. It's a unification of body, mind, soul, spirit, heart. And where things often become separated is when we, for example, see something from our parents that they're doing, but they're saying something else. And it's that split message. Oh, don't do what I do what I say. Yeah. So then you pick up on something else, and it's true because we all have strong intuition, right? We all are very powerful in what we just know or what we feel. That's often correct. But then when we're told that either it's not or it's something else or whatever the case may be, there's a split between what our heart knows, which is ruled by our spirit, and what our mind is hearing. And as we continue to grow in these experiences, we actually become what I call fractured in a way. We do not maintain a whole unity where soul says, this is the direction. The heart says, yes, got it, have the desire. The mind says, absolutely, we can make that happen. And the body says, let's go. Where that to me is the healing. It's the unity, it's the unification of the different aspects of ourselves as it's expressed. I mean, we are spiritual beings in a human body, right? But the human body does also have, there's a mind that's very similar to universal mind. There's the heart that is very similar to the universal love and energy of the heart. And our bodies, these physical bodies that our spirits own, actually mimic the way the universe works, which also allows us to be in harmony with the universe, which is also part of what I define as the healing process. When we're so connected within all these different aspects of our self and the universe, then we have the healing. And if that happened for every person on the planet, see, this is where I had that vision. If this happens for every single person on the planet, just imagine how uplifting, how light, how bright, how divinely loving this planet would actually be. Yes, there will always be some challenges. There will always be little conflicts here and there, but we will have a sense of unity in that healing that really allows us to go, okay, I get that. Let's grow. Let's move forward. Let's, continue to stay in the vibration of the universe, of each other, of ourselves, and we'll just keep moving things forward. I really believe there wouldn't be the kinds of war we have. There wouldn't be the power struggles. There wouldn't be so many other things I could name that I won't go into right now. So anyway, that's my definition. Long explanation. My definition of healing.
I find it challenging that to hone in on, like, to be so concise inside the definition of healing, because there's so much you can say about it, and it's the journey of it is so different for everybody else. For, not everybody else, for others. But what I'm curious about, which I think maybe a lot of people might be curious about, especially those knowing you and your journey, which we'll get into later. But let's talk about what led you to, want to create the Miracles Directory.
Okay, so first of all, it was a seed that was planted in the early 2000s. And the seed was planted because, as you know, as an energy healer and intuitive mentor, spiritual mentor, teacher, and so forth, people would ask me, oh, do you know a good massage therapist? I'm looking for an acupuncturist. I've been told I should check out a Chinese herbalist, but I don't know where to go. And for over time, of course, I develop, and I'm working with other holistic healers. I'm working with spiritualists and so forth. And I start referring people. Well, hold on. Let me just see if I can get that person's number for you and send it. And I can't tell you how many times I did that. And then it was like, if I had a dime for every person I refer. Okay. And so anyway, fast forward, but of course it was kind of a joke. It was just in the back of my mind. It was about maybe 5 years ago. So I'll say 5 years ago that I actually had a dream vision. There are many things that come to me in my dreams. My dream experience, that's a better term for it, dream experience. It's not really being asleep. It's not necessarily being in meditation, but it's being given the vision that has you stop and it unfolds. And so that's what happened with the Miracles Directory. And I was in conversation with my guides, and they started expressing and showing me what Miracles Directory should be, that you do need to create a resource directory for the world with lots and lots and lots of holistic healers that are helping people to integrate, unify themselves in the different ways I spoke about to be healed. And that this is part of how the planet is going to raise and elevate in harmony and vibration and to keep moving forward. So I basically received this vision. I heard what I needed to start doing, which began as, I'm just going to do a simple little website. And, you know, I'm going to call my webmaster. She's marvelous, by the way. I'm going to call her and just have her do a little website, put some people's names and information there. And then I can tell people, here, go here, and you'll find somebody. That was my initial thought. And then as that was happening, I was receiving more and more messages. No, it needs to be this. It needs to be that. You have to add, you know, this and that. This is about marketing healers. This is about marketing people who are the light workers, and so that those who are looking for the light workers can find them. And that's when it morphed into, and it's still morphing into what it has become today.
Thank you for joining us today on Healers Talk Healing. We hope you've been inspired and empowered on your holistic healing journey. If you've enjoyed today's episode and want to continue learning and growing with us, don't forget to subscribe, follow, rate, and review our podcast. Your feedback and support mean the world to us. Remember, healing is a lifelong journey, and you have the power to transform your life in profound ways. Stay curious, keep exploring, and never stop believing in your own capacity for healing.